I'm going to tell you a little bit about some support that we offer in the office. And let's see here. So I'm Doug Gage, first of all, Assistant VP. And there's a category of grant applications which are often called institutionally limited. And those can include fellowships, they could include major grants, they could include foundation grants. And what that means is the institution might be limited to either one or a limited number of applications. And so our office is responsible for selecting the applicants that go forward. The OSP relies on us if there is an institutionally limited proposal that some faculty member submits. They will ask us if they were one of the selected applicants. So the way we do that is, I think, fair and reasonable. We don't have an allocation system. It doesn't mean that if one college got one last year, another college gets it the next year. Our criteria are based upon, we do a fair review. We assemble an appropriate faculty or administrator group to review the applications. And we try to select an applicant or applicants which have the best chance of success. And that's really the criteria that we're looking for. So we want strong applications that will ultimately win funding. Because there's this sort of extra step in the process, we try to do this at least 8 weeks in advance of the submission date so that people aren't waiting 1 week before the application date to find out that they've been selected. So we try to do that as early as possible. Sometimes with some federal programs it's less than 8 weeks, but in general we try to do it as early as possible. We have a calendar on our website which shows the ones that are periodically recurring so that you can have an idea, what's coming up next year or in the future. So there's also another thing that we do in the office is we have Steve mentioned this earlier, we do have internal grant programs. The goal of this is not to provide a never-ending source of funding for your research or scholarship, but rather to sort of offer a little bit of a support mechanism to make you successful or to provide a seed so that you can be successful outside of the institution. So Steve mentioned the HARP program. This is for the arts and humanities, but it includes other colleges as well, including ComArts, social science. So I think as long as it's not if it's largely focused on humanities, then that you are eligible for that program. It's peer reviewed. The amount of money in this program is about $300,000 a year. We've tried to put additional money in there where we can find it. There are more or less two flavors of these programs. One is a sort of scholarship development program that might be for travel to an archive or for some other sort of scholarly activities. Those are on the order of $25,000 awards. And then we have production awards, which are actually trying to bring a scholarly work to its final conclusion. That might be arranging an exhibit, completing a film, or a book. And those are in the order of $5,000 to $7,000. So the strategic partnership grants are another category, and people are often confused by these. We've sort of found that the real goal that we want to do is to catalyze new scholarly activities, new research endeavors, primarily for multi-investigator projects. So we like to get new collaborations that might take seed money to really allow that group to be successful competing in an external funding environment. And so these are awards on the order of $400,000 over 3 years. It's a substantial amount of money. And the idea, though, is that that there is going to be a large payoff. So these are not meant for individual investigator grants, but really center grants, program project grants, or other larger funding opportunities. The other thing that this program supports is the development of projects that have commercial applications, maybe potential, an idea that might have both an opportunity to be funded by an external sponsor, but also might be developed into a commercial product or commercial idea. And the reason that is important in this context is that the funders for this organization, or for these programs, is the MSU Foundation. And the MSU Foundation was formed from the funds generated by a cancer drug which was invented at MSU called cisplatin. It brought about $400 million in royalties to the institution, and rather than spend it, we wisely set up a foundation whose job is to really support and to reinvest in MSU to develop research and new commercial activities. They support, in part, Charlie's activities as well. So there's a little bit of a balance there. It doesn't have to be all commercial. It doesn't have to be all a large federal grant. We've done, usually the best success is gained by having a little bit of both. It has a very peculiar review process, I should say. So normally we would review these, and we have five different disciplinary panels that represent different scholarly activities. So we have a pre-proposal stage, which is not very onerous. We try to make it pretty easy on you to submit an idea. Those are reviewed by these panels. The best pre-proposals are then submitted to the Associate Deans for Research, who select the best pre-proposals for full proposal development. We do another round of review through the same review panels. And then the final step, which is the peculiar part, is that the actual MSU Foundation Grants Committee, which is made up of lay people, make the final selection. And so there's kind of a pitch event where you get about 10 minutes or so to explain this idea to them. The foundation has access to all the scientific reviews or technical reviews from the faculty, but ultimately they make the decision. So it's pretty interesting, and usually at the time we get proposals in front of the foundation, we don't really care who wins, because we think all of them that go forward are fantastic. And so finally, there's a thing called the Discretionary Funding Initiative, which is a bridge funding mechanism. So if you have a grant proposal which almost got funded but didn't quite make it, within each college, the Associate Deans for Research will prioritize, based upon reading your reviews, which of those applications from their faculty have the best chance for being successful if they were resubmitted. And so this program provides about $50,000 for each successful applicant, half coming from the college, half coming from our office. And the idea is that if you had another year prepare to sort of improve your proposal, you keep a grad student going for a little bit, that you'll be successful upon resubmission. And the metrics for both the strategic partnership grants, we get about $4 back for every dollar invested in that program. And I think discretionary funding initiative is almost better than that. So these are successful programs. We adjust them all the time. You should feel free to, if you have any questions about them, don't hesitate to contact us. As Steve says, we're always willing to talk to faculty and try to assist you in trying to access these funds. So there are lots of ways to find funding initiatives. There are within our website. You'll hear shortly from the library team about their support for finding funding as well. But so there's lots of ways, and we do try to assist you. That's really our job, is to help you be successful.